first, today we're going to look at a university in New York. All right. And this university is called Hofstra University. Hofstra University. That's Hofstra University. Hofstra University is in outside of New York City, Long Island. All right. In Hempstead, New York. So Hempstead is like right outside of New York. You're probably about 10, 15 minutes from the line. I grew up not too far from here, so I know the university. Quick story. When I was in elementary school many, many moons ago, I got into a little trouble. So my parents sent me to Hofstra University to get to speak with a psychologist or somebody to see what was wrong with me. This is like in the 80s. And from there, I fell in love with the campus. I love the people there. I love being around. They treated me real good. So it's kind of funny that, ironically, I went there to get evaluated to see if I needed some therapy, and eventually I became the therapist later on. So this is real great. So Hofstra University at the time was about 15 minutes from my house where I grew up, and it's pretty, it's a residential school type area. It's pretty laid back for it to be so close to the city. It is a private university. So, keep that in mind when you're applying. And like I said, they have a lot of majors, and it's a pretty diverse bunch out there, but we'll get into that in a second. So U.S. News, and I told you have to take these rankings with a grain of salt sometimes. U.S. News has ranked Hofstra as 166 in national universities, 166 in national universities. And personally, I mean, if you just are a numbers person, you like comparing numbers, that's fine. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be what's right for you. It could be 166 in general for everybody else, but for you, it might be number one. All right. So Hempstead, New York, that's Nassau County, right outside the city, founded in 1935, has a total of 6,050 students. Well, that was in fall of 2021, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. So that's not a bad size. Remember, we were comparing that to other schools we were looking at. I think we were looking at like Georgetown was around that much. Remember, we did UCLA, and UCLA had like 40-something thousand students. So this is, I guess like a medium-sized college, 6,050. You might actually be able to meet some of your professors. I personally think it's a good, and for my personal opinion, I think it's a good deal in terms of cost. For a private school, it's not bad, but as usual, remember we mentioned before in our New York video, you are living in New York, so you have to understand that there are heavy costs involved with living in New York. Everything is more expensive in New York. That's what it seems. All right. And for more information, you can go to the school's website. It says 126 in best value schools, whatever that means. I mean, I guess depending on what you get for the money, if you get the bang for your buck, as we say. 68% acceptance rate. Okay. So remember, we were looking at other schools. We were like a 10%, 9%. So you're looking at a 68% acceptance rate. All right. Now, this may actually be one of your safety schools. And remember, we went over what a safety school is. A safety school is a school that you apply to that you're pretty much almost certain that you'll get into. So when you're applying for schools, you want to have a healthy mix in your applications. You want to have some of the schools you want to go to, some of the schools you think you can go into, but as well, you want to have some of those safety schools that you're almost certain to get into. So you're not, you're not out at the end of the day if none of your other major schools accept you. So at a 68% acceptance rate, there is a little bit of, there is a little bit of certainty there if you are a good student. All right. Real quick, let me go through some other things. I remember as a kid being on the campus. It's just very nice, kind of, scenic. The grass is cut. The buildings are pretty nice. And like I said, it was outside the city, so it was pretty good. Parking was always great. We never had an issue. We kind of went over the missions here. So now once again, the application fee is $70. All right. And check this out, brothers and sisters. The application date is rolling. All right, which means that there is no set application date. But like we mentioned before in the example with Bowie State University, you definitely want to still get your applications in early, because at any minute they could say, look, applications are closed. So there is a rolling admission date. Application fee is $70 as well. All right. Now, we mentioned before to you about the common application, which is the application that you could use to apply to all schools. Now, one good thing about Hofstra is Hofstra University is on the Common App. It is on the Common application. So if we're going to put this in here real quick. Let me see, UCLA isn't. So we will type this in real quick just to show you that I'm not crazy. So if you see here, if you go on the Common App, Hofstra University is on that app. All right. So you could do your application directly through the Common App. And I don't know what organization you're with, maybe your school, your consulate, they might actually waive that application fee. They could waive that application fee. All right. And I always say, check the see of schools. Schools waive application fees all the time, so I wouldn't worry about it. All right. So let's go into some other things about Hofstra. Look at these. Look at the campus. It's just beautiful. Beautiful campus here. I mean, I absolutely love it. Actually love it. And you could go on the and one thing about the Common App is that the Common App actually has a lot more information as well, detailed information about the school. So you could always go on there and check that out. Now let's go directly onto their website and see what they are hitting for. So some people might not do the Common App. Okay. But what we'll do now is we will go and we will figure out what are some of the requirements for international students. All right. So as we mentioned here, Hofstra has a rolling admission policy. International students are considered for both September and January admission, which is cool because at least you're not stuck to one period of the year to apply to. So the thing is, what happens is that like I mentioned, some schools are saying, okay, for international students, you can only apply towards September. I mean, quite a few are like that. They only want to accept international students once a year. But Hofstra, it could be twice a year. All right. Applicants are encouraged to apply by August 1st for admission in September and December 1st for January admission. And I'm going to tell you right now, those application lines are generous. I would not wait for August 1st to apply for these schools if you expect to be going there in the next month. You're setting yourself up for disaster. So these dates here where it says August 1st and December 1st, you might want to push that back another 3-4 months. I almost would say, like, you should be, if you're planning on going to Hofstra in September, I would almost say that you should apply for it close to December of the year before. I mean, like, or the semester or the year before you want to go. All right. So, of course, if you're an international student, you're going to be completing your first year student form, or you're going to be doing the transfer application. All other necessary documentation, including completed financial verification form, must be sent to Hofstra University. All right. Now, you have to also provide them with your final transcripts. Most likely, they're going to have to be a test for English, depending on what schools you went to. If you went to an IB school with the majority English curriculum, or if you went to a private school with the English curriculum in your home country, then of course, they will place you where you need to be placed. All right. Now, if we go down here, we will notice that all of your records that are sent, the English translations must be accompanied with them. Must be accompanied. All right. So please do not send it over there in your native language. Get it translated by an authenticated translator in your country. Get them translated and get those things over to them. All right. It also has for international for international students. It also has a separate section on here that you can go to. I think they have their own international students officer, international students office to help you guys out. All right. Now remember, these schools, they welcome international students. I know some people are thinking they don't want it, but these schools welcome international students because they want your money. You know what I'm saying? They want that international money. And then if you do good in the school, then some people will go back home and then they'll tell their whole village or the whole city or the whole state, and other people will come there. So establishing good relationships with international students is usually of top priority with these universities. So they're going to make it as easy for you to get through it. Now, you're going to go in here and they're going to talk about how to obtain an I-20, which is an official government document that certifies a person is eligible for the non-immigrant student at Hofstra. You can go on the website and look into that, or you could talk to your counselor or your counselor at your school to help you out there. Merit scholarships from Hofstra and scholarship opportunities from external organizations can help fund your studies. All right. And we always talk about that. I'm a proponent of going to school for free. And then it says, once you're accepted into Hofstra University and submit the necessary documents for your I-20, your application is sent to International Student Affairs. All right. I'm not going to go too much into it, but if you go into each one of these sections, they'll be able to give you a rundown of what some of your next steps are. All right. Now, here's another thing here. We're talking about SAT and ACT scores. Now, remember, a lot of schools, especially at the pandemic, have actually moved more to a test optional stance. However, if you see here, it says students who do not submit SAT or ACT scores must have the equivalent of a GPA average of at least 3.5 to qualify for awards. So if you're trying to get some money, some dough, some bread, you need to have about 3.5. All right. Now, check this out. Hofstra offers generous merit scholarships for international students automatically upon acceptance. And this is the good thing about some schools. Some schools, once you give them your profile and everything, they automatically go through and match you with some scholarship opportunities for you. So this is a very good thing. They'll go through and they'll match that for you and see what you qualify for. So you definitely want to check with your international affairs office about that, see what you qualify for, as well as see what other outside scholarships you may get, whether it's from your city, your religious organization, your state, your country, or whatever. All right. But there's money floating around. You just got to know where to find it. All right. And these will pop into your acceptance letter once it comes up. All right. Of course, and they also mention here that international merit scholarship awards differ from domestic. So, it's not the same thing. All right. And here's a list of some other scholarships they have. Hofstra University Provost Scholars, which could be from 25 to 27 a year. Hofstra University Dean Scholars. Now, a good thing to notice here. Hofstra does not offer full ride scholarship opportunities to international students. All right. So here we go again. There's limitations. They do not offer full ride scholarships to international students unless, and I'm going to put this in there, they're not going to say this, unless you are the next Michael Jordan basketball player, or next you are the next Cristiano Ronaldo. Trust me, they'll find some money for you to come there. But we're talking about in general, your students, international students are not going to get full ride scholarships. All right. And the good thing is, on the site, they have other things here that we can look at: international education, financial aid, international student scholarships, international scholarship search engine, which is pretty good. And we'll do a separate video on this, the international scholarship search engine and international student scholarships. All right. So there are plenty of scholarships out there, scholarships for women, scholarships for different departments as well. All right. And once you land, you may find out that you can find some other scholarships once you get there. All righty. So let's see what else we have here. Go into figure out what the cost is here. You could always request information here. Now, remember, the application is done online if you decide not to do the common application, but it is done online for the most part. All right. 2023, 2024 tuition information. All right, we will check here. Now, per term, undergraduate tuition is locked in $27,167 per term. All right, so now you're looking at 2 terms now. So you're looking at probably close to around $60,000 for the year. All right. They also have what we call credit by examination. So, for example, maybe if you think you could test out by some of these classes, we call this CLEPS. We'll get into that a bit later. You could possibly get additional credits there. Let's look at this here. International students have a health education fee. They want to make sure that you're out there, you're not stuck out there. The international students health insurance fee will definitely, it says here that it varies depending on the term. And then we have here what's going into the law school and the med school and housing rates, room rates. Let's look at this here. So on-campus housing, remember, on-campus housing is when you're staying on campus. And when you're on campus, of course, naturally, that includes room, and you're going to have to pick a meal plan. Now, let's say, for example, if you go to Hofstra and your Uncle Abdullah lives in Uniondale around the corner, you might stay at his house, then you're not worried about this. But mostly international students, you don't have any family there, you're staying on campus. All right? So if we see first-year students, on-campus housing, tuition fees per year, you're looking at $55,450. And then housing and food, you're looking at another $18,939. So for a total, you're looking at easily, I would just round up to $75,000 per year that you're going to have to pay. $75,000 per year. That's without any scholarships or anything like that. You're looking at $75,000 per year. Let's look down here. They talk about books, $1,000, personal expense. That depends. Other fees, transportation allowance. Then they also have like what the costs are for students living off campus, on campus. Mostly international students are going to be on campus, unless you have an off-campus house somewhere, which most students don't. So, like I said, this is Hofstra University, private university, right outside of New York City. There's plenty of trains and buses that go in that area. So if you ever need to get to the city to do scholarships, to do internships, jobs, you're right there. So you can get to New York City fairly quick. So that is a good thing, the proximity there. And from what I noticed, that Hofstra is a tight-knit community, and it's a tight-knit community. Good students, great people. And I think this may be an opportunity for some of the people that want to be in the New York City area, but don't want to be in the hustle and bustle of Manhattan in the center city. All right. You can go to Hofstra website and check out for yourself if you think it's good for you. It's definitely generous, has a generous acceptance policy. So if you don't qualify for some of the bigger schools, this may be a school that you may be able to qualify for. And if your government or your city or your town is paying for your education, I think it's a great place to be. On the East Coast, another thing is you're not too far from the ocean. The beach is right there. When you remember, New York City sits on the ocean, so the ocean is right there. And Long Island, and it's on Long Island, and Long Island has a lot of nice beaches, nice little communities, great shops, just great people. I can't say anything more than that. I think it's a great experience for students that want to be in that small town vibe, have that small town vibe, but still be near the big city. Real quick before we turn out, we could look at some of just the academics that they offer. For undergrad information, we see some of the programs they have, and you can scroll down and look at yourself. We have from accounting all the way to pre-med studies, religion, contemporary issues, language and disability studies. There's a lot. And if you click on one of these, it will take you to the department and bring a breakdown of the classes and the highlights and everything like that. All right. So if you're a parent and you're looking for these schools for your kids, this is the area you want to go through. And you can scroll down and see what they offer there. All right. Now, two things that I want to, one thing I want to mention as well is that you'll see a lot of schools may say pre-law or pre-med. And I want to clarify this. Pre-law and pre-med doesn't mean that you're automatically going to go into law school or med school. Basically, it just means that they're going to give you the courses that you need to succeed should you decide to go to law school or med school, or should you get accepted. All right. It sounds good to say pre-med, but basically what that is, they're just saying that you're on the track for that. All right. Now, definitely, Hofstra does have a medical school, and in my site we don't go into med schools and things like that, but it is something to notice that they do have a med school, and if I'm not mistaken, they actually do have a law school as well. Yep, they have a law school as well. All right, so want to be in New York City, kind of outside New York City, but still you can get to the action if you got it. You can get to your friends in the city. You can get to your cousin Ali that might be living in Brooklyn. Hofstra is a great place to be. Campus is big enough and it's spacious enough out there where you can have a car. But if you don't have a car, you could definitely get around easy. No problem. Through public transportation. And then as well, you have Uber and things like that as well. Alrighty. All right. So please check that out. And remember I said it is on the Common App. It is on the Common Application, Hofstra University. So that's that's a good thing. Now for the Common App, you have to create an account. And if you look right here on it, it says how to create an account, put all your info in here. To be honest, I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm not exactly sure if there are any restrictions for international students on the Common App. I would check. I haven't seen anything since there. I've used the Common App, for some of my clients. I've used Common App for some of my kids, and I think personally it's pretty good because instead of filling out 100 different applications, you can go there and click the schools you want to, and then sit there and wait for a response. So the minute you get these acceptances, what I would do is that I would definitely look at the wait time to get your visa and things like that, and as well start looking for international scholarships, because remember, Hofstra did say that they will not provide a full ride for international students. So let's check this out. Thanks for tuning in with me this morning. And like I said, I wanted to bring up Hofstra because most people, when they're talking about New York, they're talking about they're talking about the NYUs, they're talking about the other big schools and maybe more popular names you hear. But some of these smaller universities, which are great schools and have great programs, they kind of get overlooked. And you want to know what your options are. So, for example, if we were talking the other day, I think we did Georgetown University. Georgetown University has acceptance rate of 12%. All right, 12%. As opposed to 68%. Now, is there anything majorly different that you could do with the Georgetown degree than a Hofstra degree? Maybe some things, maybe some more doors are open for you, but a lot of times it's not that much of a difference where it's going to make a serious change in your life. Remember, you're coming back to your home country with a degree from an American university. Pretty decent American university. All right. Solid American university. So don't get caught up in the numbers and you didn't get into your favorite school. I wanted to get into Stanford. Just take it easy. We have some schools we're going to get you into. All right. We'll talk later.